Tonight, we now know a crime line tip was responsible for bringing an accused bank robber into custody this week.
According to court documents, 57-year-old Otis Williams walked into Happy State Bank near 19th and Quaker Tuesday, placed a gun on the counter and demanded money from the teller. He was then able to walk out with the cash. After a picture of the suspect was released by police, a crime line tip identified Williams as a suspect and advised where investigators could find him.
When Williams was brought into custody, the court documents say he admitted his involvement in the crime and provided details that only someone at the scene would know. He is now charged with aggravated robbery. Williams may also face federal charges since the bank is federally insured. If convicted of the armed robbery, Williams could face up to life in prison.
Williams is also accused in 3 burglaries around town. He's accused of hitting a gas station and a cell phone store within 2 days of each other last March, and another gas station in February of this year. In all of those cases, security camera footage shows Williams breaking the glass and forcing his way inside. He's facing burglary charges in all of those cases.
And this just